Pew! Pew! Huh? Ah! Hello everyone, and welcome to my Total War Attila preview video. Now, I was very lucky enough to get a hands-on copy of the Total War Attila preview build, which basically allows you to play Total War Attila for the first 40 turns in the Grand Campaign with several factions. I only let you play up until turn 40, and it only lets you play as the Grand Campaign, so I can't comment on any kind of custom battles, multiplayer battles, anything like that. But what I will be talking about is just my thoughts on Total War Attila so far. So in terms of the setting, also the gameplay footage you're going to see here is stuff that I've recorded from the build, and there will be the occasional screenshot kind of put in, which was provided as kind of art assets from Creative Assembly as well. So you'll see gameplay footage and some screenshots. But onto the setting. I personally really enjoy this time period. It's the early Dark Ages, seeing the downfall of the Roman Empire, at least the Western Roman Empire. In terms of the factions, you can play as the Sassanids, the Eastern Roman Empire, the Saxons, and the Ostrogoths. So I tried out all of them. I played mainly as the Saxons, but from right away, the Eastern Roman Empire definitely had the biggest challenge out of the factions that I've played so far. You've already got some kind of nomadic tribes fleeing from the Huns, having to flee their homeland. They're already in the Eastern Roman Empire's territory, so even when you click end turn on the first turn of the Eastern Roman Empire, you're going to lose some settlements straight away. Usually the nuclear bomb goes off, and yes, you lose a few settlements straight away, but that provides you a really good challenge. In terms of the Saxon starting position, it's quite good. You actually have an army ready to invade England straight away if you want to do that, or you can send them wherever you please. So that is a really interesting thing. In terms of the mechanics, there is a lot more depth to this than Rome 2. So as you probably all know, the family tree is back. It's a very welcome addition, and it's very nice to try and play off one faction against another, try and set up marriages, things such as that. And the loyalty system I do really enjoy as well. When I played it before, I had one of my generals getting to the point where his loyalty was down to 1 because he'd won so many battles he wanted to kind of carve out his own kingdom. So that is always a threat. If you allow a general, just kind of like an independent general, and you don't keep his loyalty, then he can rebel and kind of set out his own kind of independent kingdom if he wants to. One tiny feature that I really enjoy is that if you have a family member or an important member of like a different faction, if they're not in battle, if they're not a general, if they're not an admiral, then they are just in a tunic. But if you say assign them to a provincial governor, then they suddenly become full in war gear, and that was just really fun just to put them in tunic, war gear, tunic, war gear. So that I really liked. The diplomacy is a lot more fleshed out than in Rome 2. I did still find it was quite hard to get trade agreements early on, but that was probably because I didn't have the resources that they wanted to trade with, even though I had fairly good relations with people. But again, I imagine there's still a lot to balance in the game. The battles, the siege escalation system is great. It's great to see when I invade a settlement, if I just go straight on for the attack, that there are still civilians wandering around. I've let it progress to kind of like stage 2 or stage 3 siege escalation, and there is a marked difference in the settlement. The walls are kind of more depleted, several buildings might have collapsed, so that is really great to see. The one thing that I have a bit of about is the units rout a lot. Now, where I was playing as the Saxons a lot, I imagine their morale, especially on their basic units, isn't that high. So, although they rout, they come back, and then they'll fight again for a little bit, but they might rout again, and then they'll come back. So that's a bit annoying that units don't stand and fight for quite a while. I would like to see them at least fight for a little bit longer, because sometimes units will rout even with 2/3 of their units. But again, there is a lot to balance still. This is like an early alpha build of Total War Attila, so that might change in future. But it can be quite tense. You're just praying the units don't rout while you get your kind of flanking position in. So that's quite good. The battles are quite fast paced. Now, where I only played up to turn 40, the that may change as units kind of get harder. They upgrade to new kind of like stronger units. As that's a mechanic that I do quite enjoy as well. Is that once you research a specific technology, you don't have to re-recruit a unit. You can just go onto the unit and then upgrade them to like the second tier of the kind of like the spear units for Saxons. So they change from like a basic unit to a unit with a bit more armor, slightly better stats. So that's really good. I like that a lot. The difficulty, I found it harder than Rome 2. Playing on normal seems to give me a challenge. So it's going back to the days of I still play Shogun 2 on normal sometimes, so I'm definitely not the best Total War player out there by any means, but I can play Rome 2 comfortably on hard, sometimes on very hard, but with Attila I had to play on normal. And still then, it's still a bit tricky. So that is definitely a challenge. The difficulty has been increased from what I can tell. Overall, the polish of the preview build was very good. There wasn't that many kind of I haven't encountered a crash on the build that I played on my computer. So my computer isn't the best. I couldn't play on all the settings like ramped up, kind of on the higher settings. I kind of mainly played on high, very high. But the polish is very good. There are the occasional bug in there. Well, there was the occasional bug in there. But of course that is the preview build. I have to kind of keep reinforcing that because this isn't the final build of the game. But what I played was very good. It seems to be already better than the launch at Rome 2. And I've had this build to play around with since before Christmas. I've had a couple of weeks, so they're constantly updating, constantly upgrading the build, which I probably haven't played, the final build of Attila, which we'll be able to play in February. So I'm very looking forward to playing the final build of Total War Attila. So my only main concerns were the routing units. Occasionally the diplomacy seemed a little bit harsh, but fair because I didn't really have any resources of value to trade. But everything else is it really is shaping up to be a fantastic game. I'm going to be playing this a lot when it comes out in, I think it's February the 17th? Yes, those are my early thoughts on Total War Attila from the build that I've played. Of course, I haven't had access to all the factions, just a few, but all of them they're very varied. The one feature I didn't mention was that with the factions such as the Ostrogoths, they are a nomadic faction, so you can basically wander around wherever you like, set up camp to upgrade your troops, recruit more troops, kind of upgrade your camp to a position where you can kind of, it's almost like a settlement in itself, and then you can just dismantle it and move on if you want to. So that is a very, very good feature. Yes, I think I've covered everything that I wanted to. If you have any questions about Total War Attila, I will try and answer them in the comments below. Hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, make sure to give it a like and all that jazz. And until next time everyone, I bid you a very, very good day.